Is it true that Erdogan will give up the sacred alliance with his Muslim Brotherhood? When, and how, did such a sacred alliance start? How was it established by Hassan al-Banna, and how did it last? Does stopping some TV shows and deporting some leaders mean that Erdogan has abandoned the Muslim Brotherhood? Will Erdogan abandon the Muslim Brothers of Libya, Tunisia and others in the world? Welcome to Shoaib Show. Welcome to Shoaib Show. Our paramount question today: is it possible to end the sacred religious alliance between the Muslim Brotherhood and the Turkish President Erdogan, not only in Egypt, but in the whole world? Is it possible to end the relationship between the Islamists in Turkey and the Muslim Brotherhood everywhere in the world? The question is, in another form, is it true that Erdogan can, or has begun to, generally detach himself from Islamists in the Middle East and the world? There are cases of expulsion or deportation of some Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood and their allies from Turkey to London. This is happening against the background that the Islamists of Turkey, led by Erdogan, are resetting their relations with countries in the Middle East, including Egypt, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. The reason is that the Turkish-Qatari plan, with the support of Western governments, to enable the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamists to rule the Middle East has already failed. It failed to remove Bashar al-Assad, and the alliance that opposed him has collapsed. Such an alliance was made up of Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates and many governments in the West, to topple this regime, and of course the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamists were the ready substitute to rule. The West backed off, and began to show an awareness, albeit limited, of the danger of toppling the regimes the West abominates because they are dictatorial and impede its interests. The West discovered that the price of removing these regimes in this way, and empowering Islamists, is very high and not in its interest at all. For example, in the Syrian case, it led to millions of refugees. Perhaps this will soon lead to an awareness of the danger of the Islamists in all their diversities, particularly when voices against Erdogan and his project became louder in the West. This is why the strong perspective that regarded Bashar al-Assad and his regime as part of the problem, not the solution, has receded to a certain extent. This does not mean accepting Bashar, but the momentum of funding and supporting his opponents has decreased a lot, and may have been totally eliminated. Furthermore, even Erdogan himself refrained from shouting to overthrow Bashar, and was satisfied with the Syrian land that he occupies in Syria and dreams of expanding and annexing this territory to Turkey. Erdogan and Qatar's plan in Libya and his plan to share the eastern Mediterranean gas with Egypt also failed. Supplementing this is the fall of the Muslim Brotherhood in Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco and their popularity decline. This means that the map has changed and there has been a major setback. I believe this is the reason why Erdogan, a pragmatic opportunist, and this is not an insult, but rather a political description, stepped back and agreed to some of Egypt's requests, such as stopping the 3 most belligerent shows on the Brotherhood's satellite channels that broadcast from Turkey. And he might offer many other concessions. Also, Qatar's performance has changed a little, mainly the media directed towards against Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Egypt and the UAE. But does all this mean that the sacred alliance between the Brothers of Turkey led by Erdogan, Qatar, and the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and the whole world has ended, or broken? Let's see. It is crucial to go back and reveal the reasons for this strategic alliance between Islamists in Turkey and the Muslim Brotherhood. The Islamists in Turkey, led by Erdogan, believed that the Arab Spring revolutions were a unique opportunity to realize Erdogan's imperial dream in the Middle East. Therefore, he welcomed, embraced, and encouraged, thanks to Qatari funding, these revolutions that brought his Islamist allies, especially the Muslim Brotherhood, to rule through the polls, and they are his allies and believe in his project to restore the Ottoman colonial empire, which they call the Islamic Caliphate, albeit in a new form. That is why Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his ruling party, along with Qatar, vigorously supported the Arab Spring revolutions. It was not only for an economic or social agenda, but first in order to a policy of spreading political Islam, and therefore he rules the Middle East under his leadership. In view of this, it is okay for him to lose his economic relations with a country like Egypt, for example, since the most important thing is to support the Muslim Brotherhood, and, by the way, this is exactly what the Turkish opposition said in parliament abundantly. According to Birol Baskan, a professor at the Institute of Middle East Studies in Washington, it is undeniable that Turkey embraced the Arab Spring more than any other country, despite having excellent economic and political relations with the governments and regimes of countries hit by the waves of the Arab Spring, including Syria. Erdogan and the Islamists, however, sacrificed all this for the sake of supporting his ideological comrades who believe in Islamic unity and the Islamic Caliphate. And let us turn back further to know the relationship of the mother group, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, with the Islamists in Turkey. It is an old relationship, both intellectually and organizationally. Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the fraternity, considered what the first president of Turkey Ataturk did as a clear indication of enmity against Islam. He said, "The position of the modern Turkish government on Islam and its rulings, teachings, and laws is known in the whole world and is unambiguous, and the Turkish government even substituted Islamic teachings with Swiss laws." This means that the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood al-Banna considers the Ottoman colonial empire the state of Islam, and that its collapse is a collapse of Islam itself. For that reason, it must be revived at any cost, whether in its Ottoman form or any new form. This is the reason why al-Banna and the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt are enthusiastic about having ties with Turkish Islamists. In 1946, during the Hajj, al-Banna spoke in an interview with Turks, about the attitude of the young people of Turkey who had become neither fluent nor speaking of Arabic, pleading Arabs and Muslims to make an effort to revive the Arabic language in Turkey. And he asked the Turks whom he met in that interview to establish a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood in Turkey. Furthermore, Turkey was an important station for the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt, after the campaign of arresting them, following air assassination attempt against former President Jamal Abdel Nasser, and Said Ramadan, husband of the daughter of Hassan al-Banna, played the largest role in spreading the Brotherhood's ideas in Turkey, through his participation in many conferences aimed at strengthening the connection with Islamic intelligentsia in Turkey. The Muslim Brotherhood also participated in the celebrations of the Islamic Welfare Party in 1998, the party founded by Erbakan, the spiritual father of Erdogan and the Islamists in Turkey, which were attended by leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, Mustafa Mashur, Mohammed Madiakf, Ahmed Seif al-Islam, Hassan al-Banna, and the Algerian Muslim Brotherhood Sheikh Mahfouz al-Nahar. In June 2006, the Brotherhood was keen to participate in the celebration of the 553rd anniversary of the conquest of Constantinople, a celebration organized by the Turkish Happiness Party, in which Dr. Hassan Shoaib, the Brotherhood's deputy general guide, participated. Dr. Abdulmunaim Abul Fotu, member of the Brotherhood's guidance office, and Dr. Mohammed Saad al-Khatani, head of the parliamentary bloc, also participated in the celebration. In addition to the head of the Islamic group in Pakistan, Judge Hussainate Ahmed, the head of the Islamic Party in Malaysia, leaders and representatives of Islamic movements in Indonesia, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Russia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, the Balkans, India, and several African countries also participated. We shall note here that such celebrations are often an opportunity for the meetings of the International Organization of the Muslim Brotherhood. The visit of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to Egypt in September 2011 is considered an affirmation of the strong relationship with the Egyptian Brotherhood, and that they are the origin of political Islam in the whole world. Erdogan, if you remember, was given a huge standing acclaim. At the time, some of the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamists proudly demanded that Egypt should once again be part of the Turkish Islamic Caliphate. Erdogan used to treat the Muslim Brotherhood during his rule of Egypt as partners in the great project of the world's mastery or the revival of the Islamic Ottoman Empire. This clarifies his hostility to President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and those who rule Egypt now, not like those who say that what happened is a coup, and in defense of democracy and freedom and such talk. Rather, because without Egypt, it is impossible to restore the Ottoman Empire. After the 6-30 revolution that overthrew the rule of the Brotherhood in Egypt, Erdogan embraced them in Turkey and said that the Brotherhood is not a terrorist group because it is not armed, but rather an intellectual organization. Of course, he is lying. On the one hand, he considers that armed terrorism and cooperation with armed terrorist groups is not a charge. He was the main supporter and beneficiary of the terrorist entities in Syria. On the other hand, he is a believer in the lawful lie practiced by all Islamists, as they believe that God will reward and absolve them. They lie, for God's sake? Perhaps this reminds us of him saying, "I am a Muslim president of a secular state." Then, strikingly, when he was able to rule, he cursed secularism. Of course, Erdogan's attitude has changed now, and he is no longer defending the Brotherhood all the time, as he used to do. But this does not negate the strategic relations. Such relations were revealed by the advisor to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Yasin Oktay, when he publicly said, "The overthrow of the Caliphate, meaning the Ottoman Empire, caused a political vacuum in the region, and the Brotherhood has always sought to be its political representative in the world on behalf of the nation." Some of us underestimate the strength of the Brotherhood, and think that they are a small group, but all Islamic movements today were born from the womb of the Muslim Brotherhood. And now we shall tackle the extremely important words the President Erdogan's advisor Oktay said. Today, the Muslim Brotherhood represents the soft power arm of Turkey in the Arab world. This group welcomes the Turkish role in the region. They, therefore, view the Turkish role as the agent of the previously toppled Islamic Caliphate. They are the soft power of the Erdogan succession project. It is a rare moment of honesty. For the Turkish Islamists, not only in the Middle East, but in the whole world, as I will explain shortly, Turkey is a safe haven and a powerful financial and political patron of them in the Middle East and everywhere in the world. This patronage does not have to be from within Turkish territory, as it may be provided anywhere in the world to the Brotherhood. And I think that their activities will be backed in European and Western capitals, including London. He also continues to support the Muslim Brotherhood of Libya and Tunisia, for example. What attests to the religious strategic relationship is that Erdogan considered his defense of the Brotherhood a kind of confrontation of the escalating hostility against Islam. That is, he equates the Muslim Brotherhood to Islam, and further makes himself and them equivalent to Islam, and the problem is that he believes that there is an escalating enmity against it. This is a valuable talk because the relationship between the Islamists in Turkey, led by Erdogan, and the Muslim Brotherhood, is not only a political agreement to achieve an imperial form for the Turks in the Middle East, but it is a religion. In the way that restoring the Ottoman Caliphate is restoring the strength of Islam. There is no Islam without this empire. Defending the Brotherhood, protecting them and supporting them and the Islamists in general from Erdogan is, in this way, a religious duty, meaning that you can say it is a divine obligation to protect those who will help him in establishing God's state on earth. That is why Omar Selik, spokesman for the ruling Justice and Development Party in Turkey, threatened the United States if it classifies the Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, obstructing efforts to establish democracy in the Middle East and, therefore, serving extremist groups such as the Islamic State. I will give you an example of cooperation between the Brotherhood in a place far from Egypt, in Eritrea. The Turkish agency TİKA was able to access state institutions in Eritrea through the humanitarian and food aid portal. This was done with the help of Eritreans residing in Turkey, especially those who adopt the ideas of the Muslim Brotherhood, and for them the Turkish government established an association, based in Istanbul, whose objective is definitely to promote the ideas of the Neo-Ottomans inside Eritrea, and to attack the Eritrean government. The Secretary-General of the League, Burhan Said al-Jabati, launched a severe attack on the government of his country, accusing it of being responsible for the poor level of education and the miserable conditions of Muslims in the country. In other words, the goal of the League, like the goal of the Muslim Brotherhood and Erdogan everywhere, is to recruit members, and also not to criticize governments, but to develop the energy of anger and resentment against the government that is not loyal to Turkey. That is why the Ministry of Information in Eritrea was forced to issue a statement saying, Turkey is trying to sabotage and obstruct the peace process with Ethiopia, and in the Horn of Africa. Erdogan not only supports the Brotherhood politically and financially, but also shows his loyalty to them and to their great leaders here and there. The Turkish ambassador in Sudan, Afan Naziroglu, gave the wife of the most famous Islamic leader in Sudan, Hassan al-Turabi, a gift from Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which is a handwritten Quran. The ambassador was delighted when he found the Turkish Ottoman flag a subject of a painting 15 years ago. Al-Turabi is one of the great Brotherhood leaders and was a partner and professor to Omar al-Bashir while establishing the Muslim Brotherhood state that destroyed Sudan. Al-Turabi also supported and defended the presence of Al-Qaeda and its leader Osama bin Laden in Sudan. This strong religious strategic bond between Erdogan and his brothers, as I see it, will not end, only tactics will change. This is affirmed by the Turkish researcher Berak Bekdil, who is exiled in America, who says that the ideological kinship of the Brotherhood with Erdogan is strong. The conclusion is that the relationship of Turkish Islamists, led by Erdogan, with the Brotherhood in Egypt and everywhere in the world, will not stop. Rather, this sacred religious alliance will proceed. Erdogan and the Islamists in Turkey may take a step or steps back, but this does not mean the end of this unlawful alliance. Thank you and see you later in future episodes.